The sun rose slowly over the broken streets of Ashville, casting long shadows on the cracked pavement. The town wasn't what it used to be. Once vibrant, now forgotten, boarded windows, shuttered shops, and people too busy surviving to notice the suffering around them. Except today. Today, no one could ignore him. He lay there in the middle of the road, still breathing, barely. A crowd had gathered, unsure what to do. Some turned their heads away. Some just kept walking. A few took photos but did nothing else. The reddish smears on the concrete around the dog's head told a story no one wanted to admit they'd witnessed. Jake, though no one knew his name yet, had been hit, left, ignored. His ribs rose and fell, shallow. His eyes, once bright, were glazed with pain. But he was alive, just barely, and that mattered. A whisper in the noise. From within the crowd, a soft voice broke through the murmuring. Is he still breathing? The voice belonged to Samantha, a 17-year-old girl with messy hair and a flannel jacket 2 sizes too big. She had seen too much heartbreak for someone her age, losing her mom to cancer, a father to alcohol, and hope somewhere in between. But she hadn't lost compassion. She pushed through the crowd and dropped to her knees beside him. He's still warm, she whispered. Her hand trembled as it hovered over his head, unsure whether touching him would hurt more. Slowly, gently, she rested her palm between his ears. Jake didn't flinch. He didn't even have the strength. You're not dying today, she whispered. Not like this. Not alone. A town's cold silence. People watched her, but no one helped. That dog's been around here for months. Probably a stray, one man muttered. Ain't no vet open round here anyway, said another. But Samantha didn't listen. She took off her jacket and wrapped it around Jake. Her phone was cracked, but it worked just enough to call the only vet left in the area, Dr. Max Carter, who hadn't seen a patient in weeks. I need help, she begged. He's dying. Silence. Then, I'll meet you halfway. Bring him to the old highway bridge. You've got 20 minutes. Carrying a ghost, Jake weighed almost nothing. His bones pressed against her chest as she lifted him. Her arms screamed. Her eyes burned. But she ran. Past empty houses, past stop signs no one obeyed anymore. Past the point of her own exhaustion. She didn't stop. Not once. People watched from porches but said nothing, until one little girl ran up beside her. Is that your dog? Samantha nodded. His name's Jake. It wasn't, not officially, but now it was. The bridge. The old highway bridge was silent. Cold wind whipped across it, rattling the signs. Dr. Max was already there. White coat over a faded hoodie, portable kit by his truck. When he saw Jake, his expression shifted from weary to focused. Put him down gently. For the next hour, Samantha watched as Max worked like an artist. Hands steady, voice calm, fluids, injections, oxygen mask, stitches. Will he make it? She asked, voice cracking. Dr. Max looked at her. He shouldn't have, but he wants to. The awakening, 3 days later, Jake opened his eyes. Clean bandages, a soft blanket, a bowl of warm broth beside him, and Samantha, curled up nearby, asleep in a metal chair, still wearing the same clothes from that day. He blinked slowly, then with great effort, rested his head on her foot. She stirred, looked down, and smiled. You came back, she whispered. Jake didn't understand the words, but he felt the warmth. For the first time in a long time, he wasn't invisible. He was Jake. He was seen, and he was loved. But this was just the beginning, because Jake hadn't just survived. He had a story to finish, a purpose to discover, and maybe, just maybe, a town to change. A new home, a new heart. Jake had been at Dr. Max's small rural clinic for 2 weeks now. He could walk again, shakily at first. He'd eat slowly, sometimes pausing mid-meal, as if unsure whether the food was really for him. But every day he grew a little stronger. Samantha visited daily, riding an old bike with one gear and no brakes, rain or shine. She brought him pieces of her breakfast, spoke to him about her life, her fears, her dreams. Jake listened, always. He didn't need to speak. His eyes, warm and full of gratitude, said enough. The town begins to stir. Word spread. about the girl who saved the street dog, about Jake. Old Mr. Henderson, who hadn't come out of his house in years, left a box of dog treats on Dr. Max's porch. Miss Helen from the corner diner offered Samantha a part-time job and free pancakes for Jake. The town, once dull and disconnected, began to notice things again. Not everything was fixed, but people were watching. They were feeling. They were remembering what it meant to care. Jake's gift. Then something unexpected happened. One morning, Samantha brought Jake to visit Miss Lillian, a retired music teacher who hadn't spoken since her husband passed 2 years ago. Jake, curious and gentle, padded into her small sunlit room, looked around, and quietly placed his head on her lap. For a long time, nothing. Then, Lillian whispered, "Well, aren't you a handsome boy?" Samantha's heart stopped. Jake wagged his tail, and just like that, something in Lillian began to heal. The mayor's visit. A week later, Mayor Johnston knocked on Dr. Max's clinic door. "I want to meet that dog," he said. He didn't smile often, but when Jake trotted in with Samantha beside him, the mayor bent down, offered his hand, and said, "You're a miracle, buddy." Then looking at Max and Samantha, "We're thinking of starting a community therapy pet program." And Jake's story. It's what Ashville needs: hope, courage, healing. A town rekindled. In the months that followed, Jake visited the nursing home every Friday. He joined Samantha at the elementary school, helping kids with special needs feel safe. He even accompanied Dr. Max during grief counseling sessions with families who had lost someone. And quietly, slowly, the town transformed around him. Murals appeared on walls, Jake's image beside Samantha's, painted with the words, "Kindness is the strongest cure." But not everyone was happy. One evening, Samantha returned to Dr. Max's clinic to find the door ajar. Papers scattered, drawers opened, and Jake's blanket torn. He wasn't there. She called out, panic in her voice, running through the alleyway screaming his name. "Jake! Jake! Come back!" No sound, only silence. Then she spotted something, scrawled on the clinic's outside wall in red spray paint. "Not everyone wants the past uncovered. Stay quiet, or Jake disappears for good." What had Jake seen? And in that moment, Samantha realized this wasn't just about a rescue. This was about a town secret Jake may have unknowingly exposed during one of his visits. Something buried, something dangerous, and now they'd taken him. But they didn't know one thing. You don't mess with Jake's family, and Samantha was about to fight harder than she ever had before. The clue in the cracks. The red spray paint on the wall hadn't dried completely. Samantha stood frozen, her breath shallow, her fists clenched. Dr. Max arrived moments later, eyes wide as he saw the vandalism and the shredded blanket. "Who would do this?" he murmured. But Samantha was already moving. The question is why." She knelt, scanning the floor. In a smear of dust by the clinic's back door, she spotted something odd. A trail of faint red powder, tiny footprints alongside it. Not paint. Clay. Her grandfather used to mine that kind of red clay from the hills outside of town. "Red Dust Quarry," she whispered. "A place long abandoned." Or so they thought. Into the forgotten. That night, with a flashlight strapped to her bike and determination tightening her chest, Samantha pedaled toward the outskirts. She didn't tell Max. She didn't call anyone. This was her fight. The moon cast long shadows on the crumbling path. Every turn through the woods cracked with old memories. The quarry was a ghost, silent, broken, but not empty. She found tire marks, boot prints, and then Jake's paw print. Her heart leapt. She was close. Underground whispers. The quarry had a forgotten access tunnel once used to haul machinery, half collapsed now, hidden beneath moss and rusted sheet metal. Samantha squeezed through, flashlight trembling in her hand. The tunnel stank of mold and smoke. Voices echoed from deeper inside. "That dog's been around too many people. Nursing home, mayor's office. If he saw, doesn't matter. Once the shipment leaves, we'll ditch the mutt." She ducked behind a crate. A shipment? She peered into the shadows and saw rows of black bags, Boxes marked with codes she didn't understand. And beyond them, a cage. Inside it, curled and silent, Jake, heart over fear. Samantha didn't hesitate. She crawled across the dark floor, keeping low. Her hands trembled as she reached the cage. Jake stirred. His eyes met hers. Weak, but alive. "Shh, boy, I'm here," she whispered. But her whisper was met with the click of a boot heel behind her. "Well, well," a gruff voice sneered. "The girl with too much heart." Samantha turned to see a man in dark clothing, arms folded, eyes cold. "You should have stayed quiet." The escape. Suddenly, bam! A crate exploded behind him, knocked over by another figure, Dr. Max, holding a crowbar. "I figured you'd come alone," he said, panting. Jake barked weakly, energized by the noise. Max grabbed Samantha's arm. "Run!" They bolted, Jake staggering behind them. Sirens howled in the distance. Max had called Officer Grayson before arriving. In minutes, the place flooded with light. The operation, an illegal medical trafficking ring using abandoned town properties, was exposed. And Jake? Jake was a witness. He had seen faces, heard names, been to places where secrets weren't supposed to leak. Jake, the injured street dog, had unraveled a criminal network. A hero once again. Days passed. Jake was safe. Samantha was a local hero. The town that had once stepped over Jake now stood behind him. Mayor Johnston passed an emergency order to fund animal rescue shelters, support therapy dog programs, and investigate corruption in Asheville's health department. Jake was officially registered as the town's first honorary service dog. He wore a small badge on his vest, Asheville's guardian. But peace never lasts long. One stormy morning, as Samantha opened the mail, she found an envelope. No address, no stamp, just her name. Inside was a photo of her and Jake walking through the schoolyard, and a note. "Jake saw more than you think, and this isn't over. V." The red spray paint on the clinic wall still glowed under the harsh floodlights that night. Samantha's heart pounded as she recalled the shattered remnants of Jake's blanket and the unmistakable trail of red dust. Clay footprints leading to a long-forgotten quarry outside Asheville. Determined, she had ridden into the night with nothing but a dim flashlight and unyielding hope. The abandoned quarry, with its crumbling access tunnel and echoes of lost time, became the stage for a secret too dangerous to ignore. There, in a darkened underground chamber, Samantha discovered rows of black bags and a solitary locked cage. Inside, a weakened Jake lay curled but alert, his eyes reflecting a mixture of pain and determination. His presence, even in that dark, dingy space, was a silent testament to survival. A desperate confrontation. Before Samantha could free him, a harsh voice broke the silence. "Well, well, the girl with too much heart," sneered a man clad in dark clothing. His eyes were cold and unyielding as he stepped from the shadows. "You should have stayed quiet," he warned. Samantha's pulse raced, but her resolve held firm. As the man advanced, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed behind him. Dr. Max Carter, clutching a crowbar and fueled by fierce loyalty, emerged from the darkness. "Run, Samantha!" he urged as the confrontation erupted. In the chaos, Jake barked, a defiant, ragged sound that carried more strength than his injured body could muster. Together, they sprinted through the labyrinthine tunnel. The distant wail of sirens grew louder as Officer Grayson and a team of local law enforcement descended upon the illegal operation. A secret medical trafficking ring that had exploited Asheville's abandoned spaces. Exposing the shadows within minutes, the operation crumbled under the weight of police scrutiny. Evidence gathered from the tunnel, including Jake's paw prints, records of illicit shipments, and damning documents, unraveled the criminal network that had haunted the town. The dark figure, who had once threatened Samantha with cold indifference, was taken into custody along with his cohorts. Back on the surface, a new day began to dawn over Asheville. The local community, stirred into action by the brave rescue of Jake, rallied to support one another. The mayor, moved by the collective outcry and inspired by Samantha's courage, initiated sweeping reforms. Animal rescue shelters were funded and expanded. A community therapy pet program was established, with Jake as its honorary mascot. Investigations into the town's long-hidden corruption were launched, ensuring that justice would be served. Jake's survival and the exposure of the trafficking ring became a symbol, a reminder that even the smallest, most overlooked beings could ignite change, healing, and hope. In the weeks that followed, Jake's transformation became the talk of the town. Once a stray whispered about in dark alleys, he was now celebrated as Asheville's guardian. His recovery continued at Dr. Max's clinic, where every day brought a little more strength and every visit from Samantha deepened the bond they shared. At the local nursing home, children's school, and community centers, Jake's presence helped mend broken hearts and inspire hope. Murals began appearing on walls depicting a proud dog with a gentle smile, accompanied by the words, "Kindness is the strongest cure." Even as the town healed, Samantha received one final, mysterious envelope at her doorstep. No address, no stamp, just her name on the front. Inside, a single photo of her and Jake on a bright school day, along with a note that read, "Jake saw more than you think. His story has changed our past, and it will continue to shape our future." There was no signature, just the quiet assurance that the struggle against darkness had made way for a better tomorrow. A legacy of love, under a clear blue sky, with the town slowly reclaiming its lost vibrancy. Samantha, accompanied by a now vibrant and spirited Jake, walked down the main street of Asheville. The community had come together, united by a shared purpose, to ensure that every living being, no matter how small, was seen and cherished. Jake no longer belonged to the shadows. He belonged to everyone, a symbol of resilience, compassion, and the transformative power of love. His battered past had given way to a future filled with hope, and as the town's children laughed, the elderly smiled, and new beginnings took shape. One thing was clear. In Asheville, every heart could find a place, and every soul, no matter how lost, could be found. Jake's story was over, but its legacy would forever echo in the quiet corners of the town. A reminder that sometimes the smallest guardian can light the way for an entire community.